Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome in one of the more funky and quirky looking cars you can buy at the moment. Because today we're driving the Citroën C5 X. Now this car doesn't only look weird, it's not a sedan, it's not a station, it's not an SUV, but it is also extremely comfortable. This is probably the most comfortable car you can buy at the moment while not spending like 100,000 grand. Now in this video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this Citroën C5 X. I'm going to take it out for a drive and I'm going to show you the interior and the exterior. Let's start the video by discussing the exterior design of the car. Like I said, the car doesn't look traditional at all. It is not an SUV, it is not a hatchback, it is not a sedan. It is a hatchback, but it is more like a liftback. So the car is a little bit higher up its wheels, but the car does have a traditional tailgate. So in fact, it is a hatchback. Now the storage space in this car is actually pretty good. The car has 545 liters of trunk capacity, which is quite a lot, and if you fold back the rear seats you got around 1600 liters. Now I do have to say I'm driving the plug-in hybrid version and this car offers a little bit less trunk capacity. This car has around 60 liters less compared to the regular petrol version. And you also get a lot of room in the back seat area, and that does need a little bit of explaining. Now see, this car is made in China and it is also made for China. Now this car is also being offered here in Europe, but the car was mainly designed for China, and in China they just love a lot of legroom, and so that's why this car has a lot of legroom. Headspace is also pretty decent, and what I really like in the back seat are the seats. They are so comfortable. You could say the same about the seats here in front. They are also extremely soft. It kind of feels like you're just sitting at home in your sofa. That does mean that if you're driving this car like a sports car, you're sliding all over the place, but this is not a car you should be driving like a sports car. But more on that later. First, let's discuss the interior a little bit more. Now this C5 X is the top model from Citroën, and you can tell by looking at the interior this is the top model because there are a lot of nice materials. You got soft materials on the door panels, although here on top you do get a little bit of hard plastic, but you get some fake wood here, some fake wood inserts here on the door panels, and also the Citroën logo is stitched in the door panels as well. Now you also get some soft material here on the dashboard, again some fake wood here on the lower part, and on the top of the dashboard you get this gray rubber material. Now as standard in front of you, you get a digital gauge cluster, and you get as standard a 10-inch infotainment screen, but you can also get a bigger 13-inch screen here as well. That's the screen I've got here in front of me. I do have to say I don't really like the infotainment system. It is way too complicated. It took me like a couple of days to get used to the infotainment system, and even then I'm still struggling to find what I'm looking for. And the system is missing a lot of compute power. It is pretty laggy, so I'm not sure about the infotainment system in this car. What I am sure about is the level of comfort in this car, and the level is really high. This is one of the more comfortable cars I've driven in a long time. Well, I have driven the BYD Dolphin recently. That was also a pretty comfortable car, but this car is even more comfortable. The car has really soft suspension and hydraulic dampers, and it basically feels like you're driving like an old Citroën DS or a C5 or a C6. So this is definitely not a car you should be driving hard. The car does have like a sport drive mode. There is like a little drive mode button here, and you can choose for like comfort or sport. And then the dampers will stiffen up a little bit, but even then the car is still pretty soft, and even then the suspension is pretty soft, and this is definitely not a car you should be driving sporty. Then let's talk drivetrain. Now there are a couple of drivetrains available for the C5 X. The base version has a petrol engine producing 130 horsepower, which I think is probably not enough, but I haven't driven that version. I'm driving the plug-in hybrid version with 180 horsepower, but you can also get a plug-in hybrid version with 225 horsepower. That car is slightly faster, but only by a couple of tenths. It isn't that much faster than this 180 horsepower version, so I would definitely go for this version and then save a little bit of money and spend that on extras on this version. Now I have to say this version with 180 horsepower is actually pretty fast. Well, it's not fast, but it is definitely pretty zippy. especially if you got the batteries powered up and the electric motor is working as well, the car actually feels pretty lively. Now talking about batteries, if you charge up the battery pack, this car has a range officially from around 50 kilometers, but in reality I managed to get up to 38 kilometers. I have to admit, I'm driving this car in the dead of winter. It is the 2nd of January. It is pretty cold outside, so I guess if it's a little bit warmer, you might be able to manage to get up to 45 kilometers if you're lucky. Now in reality, that means most of the time you can drive on pure electricity, because the average European only drives around 30 or 40 kilometers a day. Now I do wish this car was fully electric. That would make this car even more comfortable. Now don't get me wrong, even if this car is using the petrol engine, the car still feels very comfortable. Because the drivetrain is pretty comfortable, but also because you got double glass all around the cabin. That means it is really quiet inside the car. You can hardly hear any noises from outside. Not just wind noise, but also engine noise is not coming into the cabin, which again makes this car extra comfortable. However, a petrol engine can never be as comfortable as an electric motor. So I almost wish this car was fully electric. But again, I'm not complaining about the drivetrain, because the drivetrain is pretty comfortable. And when you talk about comfort levels, this car feels just as comfortable as, let's say, an S-Class from Mercedes-Benz, and obviously that car is a lot more expensive than this car. So all in all, I would say it's a pretty good deal if you like the quirky styling on the Citroën C5 X. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button, and then I'll see you in the next one.